This is the TSG Multimedia Podcast for December of 2020. We're sponsored this month by Soundtraxx, Whales by the Bay 2021, and the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. Thank you very much. I'm your host, John Abaticola, and this month I have news from November, a few updates on some of the upcoming programs, and some great photos in our Catch of the Month segment where I feature your photos. I also have a pretty cool announcement I want to talk about right now. That is, the channel is about to go over 40,000 subscribers. So besides being a huge milestone for any channel, it's also going to be my excuse to run a sale on the website. So if you've been thinking about buying a DVD or a Blu-ray or a digital download, hold off a little while longer. You'll be glad you did. I'm going to go out on a limb here and make a prediction. I'm predicting we'll go over 40,000 on December 29th, so write it down. You're welcome to put your prediction in the comments section below. And hey, also, if you like the content on this channel, please hit the thumbs up button and share it with your friends. That helps us become more visible to other people who are watching similar videos on YouTube. Now let's go to George from Soundtraxx and see what he has for us this month.
Hey John, it's always good to be back for another segment here on the TSG podcast. And this time in the Soundtraxx segment, we are very excited to be able to bring another exciting new product to you as the user. And this time we're going to be a little different. You're going to notice next to me here, we've got our HO models, but I've got this little tiny locomotive sitting right here next to me. That's right, this is our first step into N-scale drop-in decoders, and we're very excited to be able to offer this now as a complete kit. Now with this decoder, I'm going to show you this model here. This is one where I've already done the installation, but you'll get the decoder, which as you can see here, fits right in the place that the original circuit board fit. Now in addition to this decoder, you're going to get two LEDs. You're going to get one LED for each the front and rear headlight, and there's also two additional lighting outputs on the circuit board, so you can add things like ditch lights, stuff like that. So those provisions are on the circuit board as well. Now you also get the speaker, and you'll notice this is a perfect size speaker. It fits right here behind the circuit board and in front of this weight, and this just fits right here in this footprint. So this installation in this Kato F3 needs no modification whatsoever. So you're going to get the speaker, you're going to get the speaker baffle, you're going to get a segment of wire for your speaker wires, and then you're also going to get a little bit of Kapton tape because these motor terminals here up at the front are actually needing to be insulated, so we're going to help you supply that Kapton tape along with this. So this complete kit is going to come as a package. Now this decoder is designed to fit all the F-Series locomotives, the E-Series locomotives, the Alco PAs, the GE P42s, and the EMD F40 PHs. All of these will use the same decoder, and all those prime movers are going to preload it into this decoder, so that way all you do is select a CV to determine which prime mover sounds play. So that way you get the EMD 567 for the F-Series, or you'll get that 645 turbo for the F45 PH. You'll also get the modern GE FDL for the P42, and of course an Alco 251 for the PAs. Now, these are designed to drop in place, so you will not need to make any modifications for the decoder. It's designed to replace the circuit board. Now, there are some models you may need to make modifications for the speaker, moving some weight or cutting some weight down to make room for it. This is a very, very tiny speaker, as you can see. We're very excited to be able to add this into the product line at some point down the future, but for starters, it's going to come as part of the decoder package. Now, all of this you get for a small price, retail of $149.95. Remember, you get the decoder, the LEDs, the speaker baffle, the wires, and the Kapton tape, all as an installation kit. But I know you're saying, that's great, but it's N-scale. How much sound am I going to get? Well, let's take a listen. I actually have this locomotive fired up. It's the only locomotive that I have here fired up on the layout right now. So it's already pretty impressive as far as the sound quality. So let's go ahead and blow off the horn. Turn on the bell. Now let's go ahead and move this locomotive a little bit. So we're going to start moving forward. And you can see that it's got great motor control. It's running very, very slow and very smoothly. And as you can see, it's having no problems with interruptions. Now, of course, there's provisions for a current keeper if you have room for it, or a stay alive capacitor. So if you need to add it, there are provisions on the circuit board to be able to add it. This particular model here does not have a current keeper or a stay alive capacitor installed. We're very excited to be able to offer this, and as I mentioned, this will be our first step into N-Scale. So I'm very excited. We'll be watching for new announcements coming very soon, so be sure you're subscribed to our newsletter at Soundtraxx.com. And for a lot of you N-Scalers who've been asking us for quality sound in N-Scale, remember, we are Model Railroaders Reader's Choice Award winner 2 times for favorite sound decoder. Now we've got a quality decoder that you can drop into your models, and more will come. So if you're new to Soundtraxx and you want to learn more about the Tsunami 2, be sure to check out our channel, Soundtraxx Videos, one word, on YouTube. And there's a lot of videos on how-to, features of the decoder, things that you can do and set up, as well as a webinar series that you'll be able to learn a lot about, not just our products, but DCC in general, CV programming. There's even one that's a decoder installation overview, and one to teach you how to solder. And then there's another video on there on how to use the 3 major DCC systems out there in the world. So if you're not familiar with all of that, be sure to check out our webinar series at youtube.com. Now guys, I know these will be available soon. They're not quite shipping yet, but they will be coming soon. So be sure you're subscribed to the newsletter, and check with your local retailer first to make sure that you can get them at your store. If not, again, John, for the best viewers in YouTube, we're going to go ahead and extend our discount sale to the end of the year. So TSG 15 is good for 15% off your order at Soundtraxx.com. So John, we're happy to be here another segment, and we wish you well. We hope everybody stays safe and has a happy holidays as we come up to this, and let's hope we can all get through this here quickly.
Thanks, George. It's a welcome and long-awaited decoder for N-Scale models. Hey, if you guys like the Soundtraxx segment every month, please be sure to use the TSG 15 discount code that they've been nice enough to provide to us when you place your order with them. It gets you 15% off, but it also lets them know that you appreciate their sponsorship of this channel. Now, I know that a lot of people always patronize their local train shop because they want it to stay in business, and a lot of other people order their decoders from online retailers to get a better discount, on shipping costs, or to combine it with other stuff that they're ordering. If you're one of those modelers and you'd like to still help Soundtraxx know that you're seeing their products and their segments here on this show, please send them an email or give them a call and let them know that you appreciate their support of TSG Multimedia. I would really appreciate it a lot, and like I've said before, it helps them know if they're sponsoring in the right places. And it helps us out a lot here. So TSG train crew member Heath Hurwitz from the Humanity Junction YouTube channel contacted me recently to tell me about a giveaway that he's participating in. I thought it was a great idea, so I suggested that we publicize it on the podcast today. So let's go to that now.
This holiday season, we are giving the gift of model railroading to a new generation. Hello, my name is Heath from the YouTube channel Humanity Junction. From a conversation between YouTubers Michael McCarville and Nancy in the Spirit of Colorado, they decided to give away a model railroad starter set to a youth. Frank SteelerFan820 on YouTube reached out to me and suggested that we do the same thing on my channel. After a brief mention on one of my Friday morning live streams, Hangout with Humanity, we raised enough money to purchase an additional 3 starter sets. This holiday season, we will be giving away 2 HO starter sets, 1 N-Scale starter set, and 1 O-Scale starter set. The giveaways will take place between December 2nd and December 13th, so please follow along on YouTube to participate. But we aren't just stopping there. We are continuing to take contributions so that we can make a donation to the youth program at the Colorado Model Railroad Museum via Michelle Kempema. If you would like to participate this holiday season to introduce and support youths in the hobby of model railroading, you can make a contribution at pay.humancity.com. The link will be in the description. Let's create memories of model railroading this holiday season.
All right, thanks, Heath. And like I said, I think it's a great idea, And as you know, I'm all about encouraging kids to get involved with model railroading. So I donated. Coincidentally, Heath is trying to get his channel up over 1,000 subscribers, and he has a pretty good channel too. So if you have a minute to check it out, take a look. And if you like what he's doing there, subscribe. I did. I intentionally tried to stay less busy last month, but I still ended up doing some stuff. For example, on November 8th, we went up to Niles Canyon to meet up with our friend and TSG train crew member, John Dyson. John went to ride the train that day, so we hooked up with him a little bit early and showed him around the canyon a little bit, got some pizza from Bronco Billy's, and then got John back to Sunol just in time for his departure. It was really nice, and it was nice not to be out filming for a change. A few days later, on the 12th, I co-hosted a live video call-in show with Michelle Kempema here on the channel. We had a great session. It lasted about 2 hours, and we talked with the best viewers on YouTube about quite a few topics. The main theme of the program was, what's your favorite railroad? And if you missed the show, you can still catch it at the link that's about to pop up on the top right corner of your screen. If you're watching on a computer, the link should have just popped up just now. So this was the first in a series of live call-in video talk shows that I have planned with special co-hosts. This month I'll be going live with another special co-host whose identity will be revealed closer to the date. That's going to be on Thursday next week, so you won't have to wait long to find out who it is. I will give you a hint though. We'll be talking about product reviews and product spotlights as our main topic. On the 13th, Silicon Valley Lines held the virtual open house that I told you about last time. And to be honest, I didn't really intend to participate, but it looked kind of fun when I logged on to watch, so I made a donation and I got to run a train around their layout from my laptop here at home. It was actually pretty fun. I'm not completely sure about this, but I think my friend Bernard wrote the Java-based virtual throttle into JMRI for all of this to work. And it's pretty cool when you think about it. I mean, for someone to be able to do something like that, and as a result, someone else from anywhere in the world could run a train around a layout that's thousands of miles away. I think it's pretty cutting-edge stuff, and it's really a statement, I think, about who Silicon Valley Lines is as a club. To take this really crappy pandemic situation, turn it into a challenge, and do something pretty much unheard of up to that point. I realized when I visited Silicon Valley Lines for the first time that they use technology unlike anyone else I've come across, even for simple things on their layout, like turnouts and yard ladders and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. I'm seriously thinking about doing a crew lounge panel discussion show, or maybe an episode of Model Railroading 101 that's all about integrating technology with model railroads. I think that could be pretty fascinating, and I know a lot of people who are into that who could participate and probably would have a lot of cool things to say. Anyway, it was my birthday on the 15th, so all I did that day was wait by the mailbox for all the presents and bags of money that people were going to be sending. And I think COVID's really affecting the post office, though, because nothing came yet. On the 21st, we had a TSG train crew virtual hangout with our special guest, Dave Adams. Dave's a great guy with a lot of stories, and he happens to be an excellent model railroader, too. You might have seen the video that he made showing off a scratch-built parlor car last weekend right here on the channel. Anyway, I recorded that hangout and will most likely share it with the general audience here on the channel sometime next year. Since the pandemic started, I've been holding these virtual hangouts about once a month for the TSG train crew. That's what I call the Patreon supporters of this channel, if you're new to the show. Not only do we meet virtually once a month, but supporters also get early and sometimes exclusive access to 4K ultra-high definition content with no ads. It's my way of thanking the people who really get what I do here on the channel and support it. You can join the crew also if you're interested in helping out. Just go to patreon.com/TSG Multimedia to find out more. So last Saturday, I went to record for this month's episode of Model Railroading with Jack Burgess. I've been looking forward to that too. Check out this photo and you'll know what the video is going to be about. If you know what it is, you get extra credit too. I've seen this model in Jack's display case over the years, but never really looked at it as closely as I got to when we recorded the video about it. That's going to be a good one. This model is scratch built in Proto 48 scale, and it's definitely not something that you see every day. Anyway, the next day, so on Sunday, we streamed our monthly TSG Live Crew Lounge panel discussion show. I was joined by 5 people from 4 different time zones and 2 countries for a pretty lively discussion about model railroading as a lifelong hobby. Now, I realize that not everyone can join us when we're live, so I always post these live shows permanently in case anybody wants to watch it on a replay later on. I received a video update about Railtown 1897 State Historic Park this morning from guest celebrity Mike Ninneman. It's about what they've been doing there over the past year or so. So let's go to that now.
Hello everyone, my name is Mike Ninneman, and I'm a volunteer at Railtown 1897 State Historic Park in Jamestown, California. Today on John's podcast, I thought I would share with you some of the projects that the staff and volunteers have accomplished over the past year. In spite of the restrictions brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been able to get quite a few deferred maintenance projects done, as well as a few other projects of interest. First, I would like to highlight our Polar Express event held last November and December. Railtown has hosted the Polar Express event since 2014, but last year was by far our most popular one yet. In fact, Railtown's event was the highest rated Polar Express train in North America for 2019. There are 55 locations that host the Polar Express around the country, and out of all of them, Railtown was rated the highest. So we're very proud of that accomplishment. This past January, Sierra Railroad movie coaches numbers 2 and 6 were moved into the modern Tridam facility at Railtown for some much-needed TLC. Although they have been well cared for over the years, these cars have seen a lot of wear from all of the films that have used them, so we needed to put some life back into them before they could be used again. Some of the old bearings were removed and sent out to be rebabbited, new air hoses were installed, and the air brakes were serviced. All of this was done in preparation for a special photographer's charter that was scheduled for late March. In February, we're also preparing to receive Sierra Railway Coach No. 3 from the California State Railroad Museum in Sacramento. Throughout 2019, the park staff had come to the conclusion that the historic Western Pacific Railroad business car No. 103, originally named the Glen Air, was occupying much-needed covered storage space that could be used to keep our former Southern Pacific observation car 2901 safe and dry during the rainy season. With this in mind, Railtown's management team realized that this would be the perfect opportunity to swap the Glen Air for Sierra Railway Coach No. 3, which had been part of the CSRM core collection since its opening in 1981. Coach No. 3 is a very important historical relic of the Sierra Railway. It was the first passenger coach in a 2-car order built new for the Sierra by the Jackson & Sharp Car Company in 1897, and it was one of the first passenger cars built for service in Tuolumne County. It is also the first known Sierra Railway car to have been used in a movie, and has been in several notable motion pictures, including one as recently as 10 years ago. Needless to say, it was very important that we make a place for the car at Railtown where it could be appreciated and cared for. Coach No. 3 left Sacramento by truck on February the 18th, and was placed back on the rails in Jamestown the following day. Coach No. 3 will require some minor restoration work before it can be made available for special events and charter trains. But the important thing is that the car has at long last returned home. While all of this was going on, we were getting ready for the photo train chartered by Lero Productions. Aside from servicing the movie coaches, we also serviced and repainted 2 of our historic freight cars for use in the train. It was at this time that we first received word from higher up in the state park system that Railtown would be temporarily shut down due to the coronavirus pandemic. This also meant that the special photo charter that we were preparing for would have to be postponed. While this was very disheartening to all involved with the preparations, we were still able to allow special essential projects to continue on a limited basis. One such essential project was the replacement of the side rod bearings on Sierra No. 28. Although a lot of time and money was spent to refurbish the boiler on the No. 28, there wasn't enough funding in the budget to rebuild the running gear in 2019. Unfortunately, work on several projects, including the No. 28, has slowed due to COVID-19, but we hope to have the No. 28 pulling trains again sometime next year. Another deferred maintenance project which was completed earlier this year was the rebuild of Sierra No. 3's iconic steam whistle, which has been on the locomotive for more than 70 years. Over the past few years, we have noticed that the voice of No. 3 just wasn't sounding quite right. And given enough time, the whistle may have suffered a serious failure while in service, if not tended to. So we contacted a professional in the field of steam whistle maintenance, Chris Rizzoli, owner of Rizzoli Locomotive Works, LLC. Chris has developed a very highly regarded reputation for building and restoring steam locomotive whistles of all shapes and sizes, and we felt that the No. 3's old whistle should be sent to Chris for proper care. I have to say it's a good thing we did, because the No. 3's whistle was found to be in serious need of repair. Fortunately, Chris and his team are some of the finest in their craft, and after a few months the whistle returned to Railtown better than ever. Aside from the maintenance on the locomotives and cars, the few of our staff and volunteers that were permitted to continue working cleaned and organized the roundhouse, repaired and repainted some of the buildings, and made progress developing a new interpretive display of Sierra Railway artifacts in the depot waiting room. Over the past year, Garrett Franklin, Michael Bispo, and myself also headed up a very special project in anticipation for the Laro Productions photo charter: the construction of a new false balloon smokestack and oil headlight for engine No. 3. Several charter groups have requested use of the famous movie smokestacks and headlights on No. 3 in recent years, but in most cases we were not able to oblige due to the age and fragility of the originals. Being fans of the No. 3's movie history ourselves, we decided to see if we could build replicas of the original balloon stack and headlight so that No. 3 could be dressed up in its famous movie appearance once again. We started the project in August of last year, expecting to have it done in March for the Laro photo charter. Just as we were getting ready to begin paint preparation on the smokestack, we were told to remain home. Fortunately, after the state and county restrictions loosened up a bit, we were able to get back into the groove. The new smokestack for No. 3 was finished in early August this year, just over a year after the project began. In September, with our Trains, Tracks, and Terror event approaching, we talked with our supervising ranger Jackie Olivaria about the possibility of fitting the new stack and headlight on the No. 3 over Halloween weekend. Very quickly, Jackie gave us the go-ahead. The only problem was that we still had a fair amount of work to do on the false headlight. We immediately kicked the project into high gear so we could have it ready in time. The replica headlight casing designed by Garrett Franklin was finished and painted just 1 hour before the start of the event at 6 p.m. on October 30th. Due to the COVID-19 restrictions in Tuolumne County, we had to get creative about having a large number of people in the park. So we thought about having a drive-through thrill ride with some spooky attractions. Although we weren't sure how popular the event would be, we were pleasantly surprised to see the large turnout of families that came to see us. Trains, Tracks, and Terror was held at Railtown for 4 hours over 2 evenings, and each night we had over 300 vehicles come through the park. The Trains, Tracks, and Terror event turned out to be a major success, one that we hope to repeat in the future. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this update on the goings-on at Railtown 1897. For more information about upcoming events and behind-the-scenes activity at the park, you can visit our Facebook and Instagram pages and our website, railtown1897.org.
It's pretty amazing to think of all the work that gets done by volunteers at places like this, and it makes me realize even more how important volunteers are to keeping historic preservation alive and well. Thanks for that great video, Mike. On that note, and before we move on to the program schedule for next month, I think it's worth mentioning that your local preservation societies, museums, and heritage railroads need your support, probably more this year than ever, because many of them can't put on the holiday-related events. Those events are usually how they raise most of their operating costs for the entire year. So if you're able to help them, please do. It will ensure that they can be around next year and beyond. And now for this month's YouTube program schedule. This coming Wednesday, the 9th, it's an interview with Chris Brimley, Vice President of ExactRail, amazing model railroader, and overall great guy. On the 10th at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, we have a special live call-in show for which I have invited a special guest co-host. I mentioned this earlier, our main topic for discussion will be product reviews and product spotlights. If you have an idea who the guest co-host is going to be, put your guess in the comments section below and then make sure to tune in to see if you were right. On the 11th, we have a product spotlight. And then on the 12th, it's the Sierra Railway in 1923 with Glenn Sutherland. This is a layout tour of the HO scale layout I told you about last month, and it's definitely something to mark on your calendar. On the 16th, we have a podcast segment replay of the 2-truck Shay Dixiana, that's number 1 at Roaring Camp, getting her new builder's plate. On December 18th, we have another product spotlight. Then on the 20th, it's the next installment of Tons of Trains. That's the compilation series that I started this year that features at least 50 run-bys of prototype trains from my various adventures. This one features trains from both Southern and Northern California. On December 23rd, we talked to the key guys from the Niles Canyon Railway Steam Department about the acquisition of former Southern Pacific 260, number 1744, and what it will take to get it running again. On the 25th, I hope you have a great Christmas. Well, come to think of it, I hope you have a great whatever you celebrate on whatever day you celebrate it. It's been a really challenging year, so we should all find a way to at least be able to enjoy something before it's over, right? To help out, I'll release an episode of N-Scale Friday that day too. On the 26th, it's your belated Christmas present, the next episode of Model Railroading with Jack Burgess, sharing that amazing scratch-built model I was talking about earlier. Be prepared to be impressed. On December 27th at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, it's the TSG Live Crew Lounge, and our topic for this month is going to be modular model railroading. Our guest panelists for this show guarantee that it'll be a great one, so catch it live if you can. On the 30th, it's a talk with Mike Pannell, who runs the High Plains Railroad Preservation Association in Wyoming. The last Friday before the next podcast is January 1st, so I will wish you a Happy New Year now and hope that you enjoy the product spotlight that comes out that day. And now for the catches of the month. Our first set of photos comes from Lucas Woodward in Australia. He tells me that Puffing Billy reopened this past Monday after being shut down earlier in the year due to COVID. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Well, Lucas went out to take some photos during the railroad's test runs on the Saturday and Sunday prior to the reopening. The first photo is of Locomotive 7A pulling a test train past School Road in Menzies Creek. Here we see the same test train about 30 minutes later climbing up Emerald Bank. The third photo shows 7A crossing the Monbulk Creek Trestle as it heads back to Belgrave after a successful test run. The next day they made 2 more runs. 7A is seen here in the early morning once again on the Monbulk Creek Trestle. Here it is returning from Lakeside, passing a location called Superman Corner. This is 7A on the second run at the bottom of Emerald Bank, and finally crossing the trestle at about 5:45 p.m. Here's a shot sent in by Andy Ambrose from the UK. It's a shot of a train on the Romney Heights and Dymchurch Railway. It's a 15-inch gauge railway. I think that's a pretty cool looking train. Another viewer, Ross Hollinger, sent these photos of what's left of the Yosemite Valley Railroad's trestle at Barrett Cove on Lake McClure. These were taken during the drought about 5 years ago. You can see where the water line usually is on the hillside there. Wes Sparkman from Mississippi sent a couple photos in. Here's a pair of GP38-2s pulling 28 empty hoppers on the Big Eagle Railroad at Winifred, West Virginia on October 23rd of this year. I think everyone will recognize UP Big Boy 4014 going through Atkins, Arkansas on the old Missouri Pacific line. This is from November 15th, 2019. Here's a shot from TSG train crew member Larry Grant of 4014 on November 9th of last year during that same trip as 4014 is crossing I-45 at Buffalo, Texas. Rowan Kinane from Down Under sent a whole bunch of photos and even a run-by video of Don River Railway Locomotive M4. These first shots are from an excursion held in early November. M4 was operating for the last time before being withdrawn from service for a major boiler inspection. The historic Royal Carriage was part of the consist for that event. We'll watch the run-by video next. And these last couple shots are of M4 being taken apart for its boiler inspection. Finally, these shots were sent in by Dylan Jones of Mississippi and were taken with a DJI Mavic drone. The first shot was taken earlier this year and shows one of Progress Rail's SD70 ACE-T4 locomotives, which is a Tier 4 SD70 ACE. It's leading NS Train 340 in Meridian, Mississippi. This next one was taken on the morning of June 15, 2020, and it shows the general manager of the New Rock Island Rail preparing their recently repainted GP38 for the day's work in Sumner, Mississippi. This last shot from Dylan was taken on September 4th this year and shows a trio of KCS SD40-2s in McHenry, Mississippi on the Gulfport subdivision. This Catch of the Month segment is really starting to take off. So much so that I might end up doing a separate show just to showcase all the great photos people send in. Thanks to everyone who shared this month. If you have a photo or photos you'd like to share, please email them to podcast@tsgmultimedia.com. Be sure that you own the photo and let me know the what's, whens, and wheres of the shots that you want to share. So, that's all I have for you this time. But before I go, I want to invite you one more time to become a part of the TSG train crew. Support from Patreon helps me bring all the high quality content that you enjoy to the world. I think you'll feel great about helping put the content you enjoy on the channel, and you'll get some pretty cool perks too, including ad-free 4K ultra high definition content before the rest of the world even knows it's coming. So as always, I thank you for your continued support, and I'll see you next time.